Welcome to Mediaographer Online, the news and analysis show helping you navigate the ever-changing video world. This week's episode brought to you by Sanford & Son. Sanford & Son, what Phil Capello watches when he isn't watching our show.
Yeah, you could be watching Sanford & Son instead of watching this. Highly recommend it. I guarantee Norman Lear is going to impress you every time. You're talking about a show with a theme song written by Quincy Jones. You're talking about a show with some of the greatest writers of all time. Mooney, you know, the guy that you may know giving the comic interludes in some of Comedy Central's greatest programming. You really can't beat Sanford & Son, particularly if you have a flu, any sort of winter illness. It'll get you through.
And so is this show, because I'm editing these episodes and watching them, and you and I get more and more handsome every episode, which I think is great. And our music, the royalty-free music that costs like, I don't know what, $20. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. I mean, that's like Quincy Jones. Just like Quincy Jones right there.
It's close to Quincy Jones. That's sort of how they do it. They find something similar, bang it up a little bit. And hopefully there won't be any lawsuits, like Marvin Gaye won't be coming after us like he did Robin Thicke this week. So I think we're going to make it through.
Well, this episode is called Twitch of TV's Death Nerve. Play for those of you on the horror movie Twitch of the Death Nerve. And to me, it's kind of like, is this the end of broadcast TV? Is this kind of their last Twitch? Where they think they've got something great here with these digital subchannels. That's how they're going to use the spectrum, if you will. But talking digital subchannels this episode, you really got me thinking about it. And when I was sick, I was watching a lot of them. And you were talking about a few episodes ago, radio delivering a demo, and these guys are definitely doing it with time-tested content.
Yeah, they're sticking with time-tested content, but I think where they're really going wrong is what television's providing that no other service provider's providing is essentially an HD live signal. And not only is it an HD live signal, I mean, since the 80s, they've had little televisions you can watch. I'm surprised the new iPhone doesn't have a television on it. There's plenty of cell phones in South Korea that do just have an antenna. You can pull it up and watch this, I guess, over there. I guess they watch soccer, right? I'm not even... They got a pretty good soccer team. But, it seems like they haven't even tried. I mean, you have a channel like NBC Nonstop. When it first came out, I thought it was a really interesting concept. They were going to go try to head-to-head with New York 1, News 12, and they weren't able to bring an audience. But they also haven't brought any attention to the fact that they exist. I've never seen any sort of cross-promoting. I've never seen any sort of new program. I mean, NBC Nonstop's new programming, but they ended up becoming, what, click television now? I mean...
Well, the history with them, and I actually had notes on it because this was crazy. I think they were doing weather first, if I'm correct, or some type of weather news hybrid. Then they decided we're going to do NBC New York Nonstop. And then they decided this is so great that we're going to go expand this to the 7 other O&Os across the country. That was back in 2009. Then NBC decided, forget all this stuff. We're not going to do local programming because that's what everybody, that's what it's in everybody's mindset in the television local broadcast world. And they couldn't make a run of it. And they tried. They even did something really cool in Chicago. With one of the morning shows. They had a really nice 3-hour morning show on the radio that was really cool, but people were just not into it, so something old is new again, and just like a lot of the basic cable channels started.
Yeah, but there's no sports. I mean, that's the thing. If you don't have sports on television, you're not going to be able to justify, and I call it justifying the antennas. I mean, how are you justifying the overhead of having a live HD signal unless you're giving an audience something they need to see live? And, football, there's a huge market for it. And obviously the NFL is not going to put their channel on ABC 9 or whatever it is. I mean, that's not ABC 9, the channel, ABC
4.2.
4 point whatever. They go up to 3, some of them. But if you start putting local football, local baseball, and I say local down to the high school level, I mean, Comcast in Philadelphia, that was their bread and butter as a cable provider when they started. But they were able to provide, and it wasn't live, but they were able to provide local sports. I mean, I've done some work for them down there, and it's great because they now are the big boys, and they honor their tradition and still go out and do Malvern Prep every, I guess, Saturday. They don't even play on Sundays. But, yeah, I think that that's where there's a real future in some of these subchannels and the digital spectrum.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, if you just put up your rabbit ears, nowadays you have channels that will come in and lock into your TV or your over-the-air converter box. You know, channel 2.1 will come in. That's your regular channel 2. And then you have the digital subchannel now, channel 2.2, 2.3. And what they're doing is they're compressing, you know, they're not giving you a pristine HD 1080 channel lots of times on the main channel 2 so that they could squeeze in these other channels, and they're using different techniques by lowering the bit rate. Or I've even seen some of them where I'm thinking this is a compression technique where you're seeing a box within a box, basically. So you have the entire area's black area around there, and I'm just thinking that
the smaller the picture, the smaller the signal. I mean, it's...
Yeah, the less bandwidth you have to use, which is so odd to look at. But you see the cable companies doing that too with some channels, but they must be channels that...
Well, a lot of people, their televisions will automatically resize. You can set it where once you resize it... Now, it goes both ways. Once you make it bigger, it's going to be softer. So there's less and less true 1080 floating around. But I still think there's just a huge space for this. I think my Dick Tracy phone from Apple should have really had an antenna. And in South Korea, the phones really do have antennas and pick up a lot of these signals. And it seems like it's a space that's just being given away by the networks. I mean, it's the one thing that they're really providing is this amazing service that comes in essentially for free. And because it's analog in nature, meaning you can record it after the fact, but it's coming to you in real time, it sets itself up pretty nicely for advertising, just the way radio does.
Yeah, and for advertising, I was looking at how these guys are getting on the air on the cable companies, because cable companies just have to carry basically that main channel. So what they're doing, they're negotiating. Channel 2 is saying, all right, you want to retransmit channel 2, all right, we'll shave a little bit off the top, and we want you to carry this digital sub-channel, and they might be on channel 400, 200, whatever, but they're still on there. For me, it's a little disappointing because my cable company doesn't necessarily carry all of them, and I can't necessarily get them all over the air. Like when I was closer to the New York City metropolitan area, one of my friends just moved to somewhere, rural Missouri, and he's got actually over 30 over-the-air channels. I can't remember what I counted in the New York City market, but 30.
I mean, I have probably, 60 show up as available and probably 30 come in. But I spent a lot of time up in rural Vermont, and up there, I mean, put things in particular, my town didn't get DSL until 2 years ago. So internet, it really wasn't even an option. You could get satellite TV if you were fancy, but most people had a good set of antennas up on the roof pointed a couple different directions and managed to pull down a signal. And once everything went digital, they lost it. So ironically, the airwaves, which do have a public mandate, I mean, they have a mandate for content in one level. That's why they're governed by the FCC. But they also have a mandate of having universal access. And it's sort of not true. I mean, in rural Vermont, I can't speak for the whole country, but those channels only basically exist in Middlebury, Burlington.
Oh, you could speak for the whole country, Phil. You got the podium. Snap judgment. Whole country.
Snap judgment. I would say definitely yes.
All right. I was going to run down here, and you could react to all these digital subchannels people might know about. and just want to tell people about it. And people in the business might not know about these. Some of these are not even launched yet. There's MeTV, which I hope I'm not mispronouncing it. I actually tried to look it up whether it was Weagle or Weigel. I'm going to say Weigel Broadcasting. They're based out of Chicago. They have had this flagship station for years called WCIU in Chicago, and they're kind of known, at least for me, the Svengoolie guy that hosts B-movies on the weekends. And they had something like some chroma key or green screen theater kids show during the day. So really,
I'm dyslexic, so you're telling me it's not Wiggle? I'm just saying if it's I'm okay.
I don't know, but you watch out. We're going to be asking these guys. We're going to be asking these guys for jobs someday, so we better.
I hope so. I hope so. So we got to get this cleaned up. I got the same notes. I thought it was Wiggle. Moving forward.
So they've got the MeTV, which is them, distributed by MGM, and that MeTV is kind of like Nick at Night used to be. Then they've got Movies, which is once again the Weigel Broadcasting, and Fox Television they're partnering with to do nothing but movies. And like I said, they have the flagship. And now they're partnering with another partner here, CBS affiliates, 17 markets, and this is going to be called Decades, which is kind of more the same, the Nick at Night type thing. But they're offering this as
the Nick at Night type thing. I think really, for all me saying they need sports and they need to have some sort of live programming. When I say it's analog in nature, I mean it's coming at you. And so some of that late night television, particularly, what was it? You said Nick at Night. You know, a lot of that stuff's the Honeymooners, followed by MASH, followed by, and they just keep on lining up award-winning programming that people have, you know, a lot of familiarity with, and they don't turn away from it. And like I said, analog in nature, meaning they're probably going to sit through a short commercial, particularly when this programming was designed to have logical commercial breaks. I mean, they'll bring you to a peak and cut away.
And one thing people were saying it's nice, like the Movies channel that I just mentioned, is that they aren't the longer breaks too. They're much shorter breaks because it looks like this new Decades. It's a barter deal. So they're going to say to their CBS affiliates, give them right of first refusal and say, all right, you're the CBS station in this market. Do you want it? This is a barter deal. You put your own spots in there, and there's not a lot of inventory there. So it's nice for the Movies channel. But so if you don't want Decades and you're the CBS affiliate, somebody else can go get it, maybe an independent station if there's any of those left anymore. But then the other one, one of the other ones is Cozy TV. This is the one we were talking about, is NBC. It was New York nonstop. They were trying to do local programming. They were trying to get local producers to just fill this. It didn't work out back in 2009. 2011 became Cozy TV.
Did the Stoop TV show that's in the cabs come from that? I think it did.
I believe it did, yeah.
We'll check that, but I think it did.
Talk Stoop.
Talk Stoop, yeah.
Talk Stoop was the one with Kat Greenleaf?
Yeah, Kat Greenleaf.
I think so, yeah, and I thought that would have been something, but unfortunately, also it's like trying to wrangle cats, I know, over there, because you got all these independent producers, local people, you're trying to get consistent programming. It's not like they're paying for the program. You're trying to do these kind of barter deals and everything. You got to pay people. How are you going to do that? Another one, which is one of the smaller outfits, Retro TV, which is actually kind of cool. I don't know if we can get that in this market. It is all around the country, though. Owned by Lucan Communications. Everybody knows Lucan from Jewelry TV. If you've ever been late at night, you've seen Jewelry TV.
Well, what's amazing is the ratings. I find it incredible that people are buying jewelry. I grew up around New York, so the idea of buying jewelry where you haven't even seen it and sending somebody a check just doesn't seem like a smart idea. But they're selling their thing, they're doing the thing. But on holidays, they get numbers. I worked in enough local stations where it's always bad when you get beaten by a shopping channel, or you realize you've been beaten by an infomercial. I mean, it's hard.
I had a coworker whose husband would watch the home shopping channel because it's beautiful HD a lot of times, and he would look at the model's hands. He loves the hands, and his wife, who was my coworker, was a little disturbed by the fact that the time he spent looking at these models' hands on the jewelry TV and whatnot.
Yeah.
To each their own. But this Lucan Communications, now they filed for bankruptcy, so I don't know what's going to happen to them. But Retro TV, let me tell you, out of all of them, they have the program that I would want to watch. They just got Doctor Who, and they have Mystery Science Theater 3000, which
which is the classic low budget, great programming, where it proves once again content is king, and if you give good content, you can have a little alien sitting up front making snide remarks, but if they're funny, people are going to watch.
Hey, I went to go see their first live show in Minneapolis. I absolutely love that show. It was one of my inspirations for wanting to go into TV. And when I was working over at Fox Business Television Network, I even had Joel Hodgson, the creator, on there. I mean, it was really great to have somebody that inspired me on a TV show that I was producing nationally, to have your inspiration on there. But it was really cool. Back to these digital subchannels, because I have no segue there. And also back to Chicago. Here's some more Chicago company here. This is Tribune. I know they've been trying to make a big push to try and reinvigorate, try new things. They have Antenna TV, which is like the old Nick at Night. They have This TV, which is Tribune and GM. And they actually have a few good movies on every now and then, like Mad Max, El Mariachi. Then they've got My Family TV, which is reruns of some original programming. I'm sorry, they're not Tribune owned. This is My Family TV is actually out of New Jersey. So if you could figure out, because you know New Jersey better than I do, where this My Family TV is operating out of, maybe we'll get a show on them.
We'll try to figure that out for you. But the Tribune, I think the Tribune, is really making a real push at it, and they seem to be the one player in the market that's trying to do something with it, meaning where it's not a secondary thought. They've put themselves in a place where they obviously need to change things up, and I can sort of see a future where these digital channels become a place where local programming is able to work with the local newspaper. I mean, that seems to be the catchword, synergy, right? I mean, you have the synergistic relationship where they both have the same interests, and if they're able to link those two things up, I think that, it might be a good play.
Yeah, and boy, it was so funny when I was taking my first classes in television news writing. They said, all right, wake up at 6 in the morning or whatever and read the newspaper and rewrite the copy. And I thought, this is a joke. This isn't what you do. And then, of course, I got my first producing TV job, and that's all I did for the next decade was rewrite newspaper stories, basically, or wire copy. So that is the business. So God forbid everyone lose their local newspaper or online newspaper or whatever it's evolving in your particular market. Rounding out the digital sub-channel merry-go-round, do you remember Live Well Network?
Yeah.
That was, ABC was going to kill that in January this year, which is 2015, but they stuck with it, and they're going to launch another one, Laugh. That's launching on ABC O&O's Laugh, L-A-F-F. Katz Media is running it. It's been picked up by 13 Scripps owned stations, Detroit, Phoenix, Denver, Cleveland. You're in luck. And Katz, right now, they run another two digital sub-channels called, one called Escape, which is like Lifetime, and another one called with Grit, which is like Spike. And as of a couple of years ago, some stations were getting 5% of the revenue from these digital sub-channels, so it's got to be more now. And like you said, these have the built-in audience.
They have me because I don't have cable, and I'm a cord cutter because I'm moving television into the future.
Well, the internet just ran out of space. I got a text message saying so. So I'm Chris McHugh.
And I'm Phil Capello.
We'll see you next time on Mediaographer.